Have you ever felt your body sending out strange signals only to ignore them, thinking it was just ordinary fatigue or a natural part of aging? In reality, there is a disease affecting nearly 2.9 million people worldwide, and many don't realize it until it's too late. That disease is multiple sclerosis, MS. The danger of MS lies in the fact that it doesn't appear with one obvious sign. It's like a hidden intruder quietly knocking on the body through subtle, vague symptoms that are easy to dismiss, such as tremors, blurred vision, numbness, or prolonged fatigue. Many people think it's just a result of aging stress or a lack of sleep. However, behind that could be a nervous system that is being damaged day by day. In today's video, I will take you through 14 typical symptoms of multiple sclerosis. Each symptom is not only an isolated phenomenon, but also a warning signal from the body. I will share the latest research from reputable health organizations, such as the NIH and CDC, as well as international medical journals, while explaining it in a clear and concise manner so you can recognize it in a timely and effective way. Some signs may seem harmless, but if we catch them early, we can slow down the disease's progression and even improve quality of life. I want you to stay until the end of the video because the fifth symptom is the one most often overlooked, yet it could be the earliest and most important warning. Additionally, I will share a few small lifestyle changes you can implement immediately if you notice any unusual signals from your body. Before we begin, if you find this topic useful, please consider subscribing to the channel and enabling notifications. Comment with the number 1 if you'd like me to make more content like this, or 0 if you don't feel it's necessary. Every subscription and comment is the motivation for me to continue accompanying you on the journey of senior healthcare. Now let's dive into the very first symptom, tremors and electric shock sensations, to see how something that seems small can actually carry hidden risks. Symptom: tremors and electric shock sensations. Have you ever held a cup of hot tea and suddenly found your hand shaking uncontrollably, causing the liquid to spill? For people with multiple sclerosis, that's not just a clumsy moment. It is a real sign. Tremors in MS often stem from damage to the cerebellum, the part of the brain responsible for coordinating movement. When the immune system attacks the myelin sheath, the protective covering of nerve fibers, the connection between the brain and muscles becomes disrupted, leading to unwanted movements. A recent study shows that 33% of people with MS experience tremors ranging from mild to severe. This directly affects daily life. Writing a sentence, buttoning a shirt, or even eating becomes difficult. Not only that, these small shakes bring mental fatigue because patients constantly fear dropping things or losing control in front of others. I recall John, 68, who lived in Texas. He used to be a healthy man who loved gardening in his backyard, but then he began to notice his hands shaking when trimming flowers. At first, he thought it was just a natural part of the aging process. After a few months, the tremors appeared more often, especially when he tried to hold a knife or lift his morning coffee cup. When I met him at a checkup, we reviewed his situation together. I advised him to change some habits such as using tools with larger handles and practicing slow breathing combined with gentle yoga every morning. After 8 weeks, the frequency of his tremors decreased and he felt more confident in his daily activities. This shows that with small but consistent changes, we can lessen the impact of symptoms. Another more subtle signal is the electric shock sensation when bending the head. Many patients describe it as if a current runs down the spine into the arms or legs. Medicine calls this Hermite sign. It occurs when the myelin in the spinal cord is damaged, making electrical signals normally smooth become disrupted like wires short-circuiting. A 2024 study published in the Journal of Anesthesia, Pain, and Critical Care showed that this sign is linked with abnormalities in the cervical spine, which is responsible for transmitting sensory information. This means that each time you bend your head and feel an unexpected jolt, your body is trying to tell you something is happening inside your nervous system. I once worked with Mary, 72, from California. She told me that whenever she bent down to get something from the fridge, she felt an electric current running down her spine into her legs. At first, she thought it was just sciatica, but upon further examination, we found she had early myelin damage. I guided her to limit deep head bends, use a low stool to reach bottom shelves, and practice gentle neck stretching exercises. After 12 weeks, the frequency of these shocks noticeably decreased, and she was able to live more comfortably. The takeaway here is this: tremors or electric shock sensations are not always harmless. If they happen repeatedly, especially along with fatigue, numbness, or muscle weakness, they could be early signs of MS. Recognizing them early, writing down the frequency and timing, and discussing with a doctor is an important step in managing the disease. Remember, the body never lies. Every tremor or electric jolt is a message. Please pay attention to me. Symptom: chronic pain and extreme fatigue. Living with multiple sclerosis is not only about facing tremors or sudden shocks. Many patients also carry another burden: persistent pain. Unlike muscle aches caused by overexertion, this type of pain originates from a damaged nervous system. Patients may feel stabbing pain like a knife cut, or a burning, lingering sensation that never goes away, sometimes both at once. A 2023 study showed that 62% of MS patients have experienced persistent pain, and nearly one-third of them suffered from neuropathic pain that comes directly from nerve damage. This doesn't just affect mobility. Pain also brings insomnia and depression, reducing quality of life significantly. What's more concerning is that many patients remain undertreated, leading to a vicious cycle: pain, fatigue, mental decline, worse pain. During a consultation, I met Linda, a 70-year-old woman from Florida. She said that at night she often felt burning sensations in her calves to the point she couldn't sleep. At first, she used over-the-counter painkillers, but they only worked briefly. Together, we developed a regimen. In the evening, she soaked her feet in warm water with Epsom salt for about 15 minutes, followed by some gentle stretching. I also advised her to avoid caffeine after 3 p.m. and replace it with warm chamomile tea. After 6 weeks, her pain intensity dropped by nearly 40%, and she was able to sleep for more than 5 continuous hours, a rest she hadn't had for months. Alongside chronic pain comes another relentless opponent: ongoing fatigue. Unlike ordinary tiredness, this does not disappear after sleep. It feels as if an invisible weight drags down the entire body, even on days when patients have no other clear symptoms. A 2024 study published in PLOS One found that fatigue in MS is linked to altered connectivity in brain regions regulating energy and mood, particularly the prefrontal cortex and thalamus. These changes make it difficult for the brain to stay alert even when the body hasn't been overworked. Another example is Robert, 74, from New York. He loved taking morning walks around his neighborhood. But soon after only a few blocks, he felt exhausted and had to sit down. He said it felt like sandbags hanging on my shoulders. After discussing it, we decided to change his routine. Instead of pushing for one long walk, he broke it into 3 short walks, each 10 minutes, spread throughout the day. He also added a 20-minute nap and maintained good hydration. After 8 weeks, he reported that his daytime energy had improved by nearly 50% and his nighttime sleep had become deeper. From cases like Linda and Robert, we see that pain and fatigue and MS are not just annoying symptoms, but signals of profound changes in the nervous system. A mix of lifestyle adjustments, supportive therapies, and medical guidance can significantly reduce the burden. Most importantly, patients must listen to their bodies. If pain persists or fatigue disrupts their daily life, they should not hesitate to seek medical help. Self-medicating with high-dose painkillers or overusing caffeine can lead to dangerous consequences. A safe strategy always begins with open communication with healthcare professionals. Symptom numbness and muscle weakness. The human body has its own way of communicating. When everything functions normally, we can clearly sense touch, warmth, or movement. But for MS patients, these signals sometimes become distorted. Numbness and tingling are among the earliest messages. Patients may feel as if ants are crawling on their hands, or that a part of the face suddenly goes numb, even though there's no physical impact. The mechanism behind this phenomenon is quite clear. The immune system attacks the myelin surrounding nerve fibers, disrupting the transmission of signals between the brain and the body. Even when the damaged area is very small, just a few millimeters, that disruption is enough for the body to sense something is wrong. A study published in the journal Temperature in 2018 showed that nearly 70% of MS patients reported numbness or tingling during their first flare-up. This means it is not just a secondary symptom, but often the very first doorway to diagnosis. At an appointment, I met Susan, a 66-year-old woman from Ohio. She said that every morning while brushing her teeth, she often felt her lips go numb, losing normal sensation. At first, she thought it was due to a vitamin deficiency. But after a thorough checkup, an MRI revealed a small lesion in her spinal cord. We agreed on a plan. Susan practiced light massage on her face and hands, combined with warm compresses whenever the numbness lasted too long. After 7 weeks, the frequency of numbness decreased to just 2-3 times per week, down from nearly every day. More importantly, she became aware that her body was sending a warning, so she maintained regular checkups rather than ignoring it. Alongside numbness comes another challenge: muscle weakness. When brain signals no longer transmit properly, muscles don't receive clear instructions, leaving the arms and legs heavy. Many patients describe it as walking through water, with every step feeling slow and heavy. A 2024 study published in Frontiers in Physiology found that MS patients may lose between 10% and 60% of muscle strength, especially in the quadriceps, the muscles that help us stand, sit, and climb stairs. Interestingly, even when stimulating muscles directly with electricity bypassing nerves, the force generated was still lower than in healthy individuals. This indicates that the muscles themselves undergo changes not just as a result of nerve damage. I recall Michael, 71, from Colorado. He was a former Marine, familiar with intense physical activity. But gradually he found that just climbing a few stairs made his legs tremble and made it hard to lift. When he came in, we built a rehabilitation program. Daily sit-to-stand exercises from a chair 10 times each day, combined with a slow 15-minute morning walk around his block. After 10 weeks, his leg strength improved significantly and he could climb 2 flights of stairs without holding on to the railing. He said it felt like regaining a piece of youth because he could shop independently and carry groceries home again. The lesson from both Susan and Michael is this: even minor changes such as fleeting numbness or heavy legs should not be dismissed. They may be early signals of multiple sclerosis. Consistent gentle exercise, lifestyle adjustments, symptom journaling, and regular doctor consultations can make a big difference. And most importantly, never stop exercising just because your muscles feel weaker for a few days. It may only be a temporary fluctuation of the disease. Rest moderately, adjust the pace, and return when your body allows. Listening to your body is the key to safety. Symptom, vision, and walking difficulties. Some MS patients share that the first symptom that truly worried them wasn't tremors or numbness, but suddenly blurred vision accompanied by a dull ache behind the eye. This is a sign of optic neuritis, an inflammation that disrupts the transmission of signals between the eyes and the brain. The result is blurred vision, faded colors, and sometimes temporary vision loss. According to a 2024 study published in Neuro-Ophthalmology, optic neuritis is the most common ocular manifestation among MS patients, occurring in approximately 37% of patients throughout the course of their disease. In fact, around 1/4 of patients experience optic neuritis as their very first symptom. This often leads people to mistake it for refractive errors or age-related eye strain, delaying their search for medical help. I still remember Anna, 69, living in Michigan. She loved reading every evening. One day the words on the page suddenly blurred, and when she moved her eyes, she felt a stabbing pain. She thought she needed new glasses, but a deeper examination revealed that she had optic neuritis linked to MS. We discussed options and decided on lifestyle changes, including reducing blue light exposure at night, maintaining proper reading posture, and most importantly, scheduling regular visits to an eye specialist to monitor inflammation. After 9 weeks of these adjustments, her eye pain decreased significantly, and her vision improved enough for her to continue reading daily. If vision problems make many patients anxious, walking difficulties present an even more direct challenge to independence. MS damages the nerves that control motor muscles, making steps slower, unsteady, and sometimes like dragging heavy legs. Many patients describe walking as climbing uphill nonstop even when on flat ground. A 2023 study published in Gait and Posture showed that within 5 years of diagnosis, approximately 60% of patients experience walking difficulties. This is not only because muscles weaken, but also because the brain regions responsible for motor planning undergo changes. In other words, even the very thought of walking becomes more complicated. I once worked with James, 73, from Arizona. He used to enjoy long walks in the park with his friends, but gradually he slowed down and stumbled more often. When we assessed him, we decided to adjust his approach. Instead of trying to walk far, he focused on short, stable steps with his body's center of gravity balanced. I advised him to use a walking cane with a non-slip rubber tip and to continue strengthening his hip and thigh muscles. After 11 weeks of consistent training, James not only reduced his number of falls, but also regained confidence to walk with his friends even if the distance was shorter than before. Through Anna's and James's stories, we see that vision and walking ability are not merely about senses or movement, but are directly tied to the quality of life and independence. If ignored, patients can easily become withdrawn and lose social connections. The key is to listen to your body and act early if your vision suddenly blurs with pain or if your steps feel heavier. Don't assume it's just a natural part of aging. Recording symptoms, seeking specialist care, and engaging in safe physical activity will help patients maintain their independence. Symptom: cognitive decline and dizziness. Many people think multiple sclerosis only affects movement, but in reality, it also attacks memory and concentration. Cognitive decline in MS can appear very early, sometimes even before patients notice physical symptoms. They often complain that they have trouble remembering names, focusing when reading the newspaper or doing housework, and that their information processing speed has slowed significantly. A study published in Lancet Neurology in 2020 demonstrated that cognitive decline in MS patients is associated with atrophy of the gray matter in the brain. MRI scans confirm that small changes in brain structure can have a huge impact on daily life. In fact, about 40 to 65% of patients experience some form of cognitive impairment over the course of the disease. I once worked with Karen, 67, from Pennsylvania. She was a retired elementary school teacher accustomed to reading and doing crossword puzzles. But recently, she found it took her much longer to complete a puzzle that used to take just minutes. When we discussed it, I suggested a regimen. Every morning she spent 20 minutes playing a word-matching game on her tablet, alternating with deep breathing exercises to increase oxygen to the brain. After 10 weeks, Karen noticed her letter processing speed had improved by nearly 30% compared to when she started, and more importantly, she felt more confident when chatting with friends. While memory and concentration may decline silently, dizziness and vertigo appear suddenly, causing immediate fear. Patients describe it as if the world around them is spinning or as difficulty keeping balance when standing up. This condition often stems from damage to the brain stem, which controls balance and eye movement. According to a 2020 study published in BMC Neurology, approximately 49% of MS patients experience dizziness or vertigo, particularly during flare-ups. This significantly increases the risk of falls, a major danger for older adults, since even one fall can lead to fractures and severe complications. I remember David, 72, from Oregon. He said that when standing up from his sofa, the room suddenly felt like it was spinning and he had to grip the armrest tightly to avoid falling. After ruling out cardiovascular causes and confirming it was a symptom of MS, I advised him to practice a fixed point gaze exercise. Sit upright, focus on an object about 6 feet away, and keep his eyes steady for 30 seconds, repeating this 5 times a day. He also did slow indoor walks with hand support to reduce fall risk. After 8 weeks of persistence, David reported that the spinning sensations had significantly decreased, and he required less assistance when moving around. These two stories emphasize that whether it's silent cognitive decline or obvious dizziness, both strongly affect independence and quality of life. If ignored, patients can fall into a vicious cycle: poor memory, anxiety, further decline, dizziness, falls, fear of movement, progressive muscle weakness. The solution is not to accept living in silence, but to proactively adapt, train the brain, maintain safe movement habits, and share every small change with doctors. Most importantly, don't dismiss forgetfulness or momentary dizziness as normal aging. They may be urgent messages from the nervous system requiring early attention to protect long-term health. Symptom bladder disorders and bowel problems. One of the most discreet yet common discomforts in MS patients is loss of bladder control. When the nervous system is damaged, signals between the brain and the bladder are disrupted, leading to two opposite situations. Some people constantly feel an urgent need to urinate, unable to reach the bathroom in time. Others struggle to completely empty their bladder. According to a study published in the Multiple Sclerosis Journal in 2019, up to 80% of MS patients experience bladder dysfunction within 10 years of diagnosis. This problem is not only uncomfortable but also increases the risk of urinary tract infections and kidney damage. I once worked with Margaret, 74, from Illinois. She complained that at night she had to wake up 4 to 5 times to urinate, severely disrupting her sleep. Together, we adjusted her daily routine, limiting fluid intake after 7 p.m., practicing pelvic floor muscle contractions, Kegels 15 times per day, and keeping a urination diary to track her habits. After 6 weeks, her nighttime trips to the bathroom had reduced to just twice, allowing her to sleep better and feel noticeably more refreshed during the day. Alongside bladder issues, many patients also face digestive problems, particularly constipation or bowel incontinence. Disrupted nerve signals make bowel movements less effective, leaving patients bloated and struggling with elimination. A 2024 study in PLOS One found that 73% of MS patients reported bowel problems, but nearly half didn't know these issues were linked to MS. This silence causes hesitation to talk about it, delaying diagnosis and treatment. During a consultation, I met William, 71, from Nevada. He said he often went several days without a bowel movement, and when he did, it was very difficult, sometimes leading to accidents. This made him reluctant to go out, causing him to withdraw into his home. After evaluation, we created a plan that included adding 20-25 grams of fiber daily from foods such as oats, apples, and leafy greens, drinking 2 liters of water evenly throughout the day, and taking a slow 20-minute walk after meals. After 8 weeks, his constipation improved by nearly 60% and episodes of incontinence reduced significantly. Most importantly, he regained confidence to go out and meet friends. From Margaret's and William's stories, we see that bladder and bowel disorders in MS are not simply physical issues. They profoundly affect mental health, sleep, and social life. Patients may feel embarrassed, lose self-confidence, and gradually limit contact with others. The important thing to remember is that this is not their fault. These are natural consequences of neurological disease, and open discussion with doctors can open the door to many safe solutions. Behavioral therapies, dietary adjustments, pelvic floor, physical therapy, and medical interventions when necessary can all help patients regain better control over their symptoms. The core message: if you are living with MS and notice unusual changes in urination or bowel habits, speak up. Silence only makes the burden heavier. Early recognition and timely support will help you maintain independence and confidence in daily life. Symptom: sexual dysfunction and heavier menstrual cycles. One aspect rarely talked about but deeply affecting the quality of life in MS patients is sexual health. Many people feel embarrassed to share, yet sexual dysfunction is actually quite common. When myelin in the nervous system is damaged, signals controlling sensations and physical responses become disrupted. The result is that men may struggle to maintain erections, while women may feel reduced arousal or difficulty reaching orgasm. A study published in BMC Neurology in 2025 showed that about 70% of men and 50% of women with MS experience some form of sexual dysfunction. The striking point is that the causes are not only neurological, but also psychological. Anxiety, depression, and emotional distance can reduce desire even further. During one consultation, I worked with Paul, 68, from North Carolina. He shared that after being diagnosed with MS, his marital life became distant because he found intimacy difficult to maintain. He feared disappointing his wife and gradually withdrew from the conversation. Together with him and his wife, we built a plan. Instead of focusing only on traditional sexual activity, they explored other forms of intimacy, such as gentle massage and open conversations about needs. After 10 weeks, he felt that their emotional bond had been restored with a reduced tension and less self-doubt. For women with MS, another challenge appears during certain days of the month: heavier menstrual cycles. Many notice that MS symptoms such as pain, fatigue, muscle weakness, or coordination problems worsen right before or during menstruation. The suspected cause is hormonal fluctuations, particularly a drop in estrogen, which may lead to increased neurological inflammation. A study published in the Journal of Immunology in 2018 showed that 70% of women with MS reported worse symptoms during the premenstrual phase. These days feel like fighting two battles at once, coping with the natural cycle and enduring disease flare-ups. I recall Emily, 64, from Washington. She said that every month, a few days before her period, she felt extreme fatigue along with body-wide aches. She used to think it was just the cycle of aging, but after careful tracking, she realized it happened exactly when her hormones fluctuated. I advised her to keep a menstrual diary and maintain a diet rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which can be found in sources such as salmon, leafy greens, and chia seeds to help reduce inflammation. After 3 months, she noticed milder pain and less prolonged fatigue. Paul's and Emily's experiences show that sexual health and menstrual cycles should not be overlooked when discussing MS. These factors affect emotions, relationships, self-confidence, and overall well-being. If ignored, patients can feel isolated even within their own families. The most important advice is to maintain open communication with partners and doctors. Honest conversations, lifestyle adjustments, and medical support when necessary can help overcome these challenges. Health is not only the absence of disease, but also the ability to maintain emotional connection and intimacy in relationships. Conclusion. We have just gone through 14 important symptoms of multiple sclerosis, from tremors, chronic pain, and persistent fatigue to silent changes such as memory decline or digestive disorders. Each symptom, whether small or big, is a warning that the body sends out. The most important thing is not to fear, but to recognize it early and take timely action. Looking back at the stories I shared, John in Texas, Mary in California, Linda in Florida, or James in Arizona, you can see a common thread: just small changes consistently applied for a few weeks significantly improved their quality of life. Some regained good sleep, others regained confidence walking with friends, and some restored intimacy in marriage. These seemingly simple things are actually the key to healthier living each day. What I want to emphasize is MS does not mean the loss of hope. By combining medical care, lifestyle adjustments, and a proactive mindset, we can slow the disease's progression and maintain long-term independence. Listen to your body. Write down unusual signs and don't hesitate to speak openly with your doctor. You can start with very small steps today. Take a 10-minute walk around your block. Drink enough water and add vegetables and whole grains to your meals. Maintain a habit of taking short naps to restore your energy. Practice deep breathing or meditation for a few minutes each day to reduce stress. These small steps repeated daily can lead to significant improvements in your health. And now I want to thank you for staying with me until the end of this video. If you find this information useful, please consider subscribing to the channel and sharing it with your friends and loved ones. Every bit of your support is the motivation for me to continue creating practical, relatable health content specifically for the senior community. Wishing you good health, resilience, and joy in each and every day.